how you doing?
Good. How are you, Evan?
Guys?
What's going on?
Hey, man. I forgot to throw our intro, guys. Just for you. Let's go right
Welcome.
Hey, okay. Two guys in hockey talk. We're back, baby. We're back. Okay, that's called a little malfunction at the junction. I kind of messed up on our intro today.
That's okay, Evan. That's okay. We all make mistakes. You know nothing about hockey or how to start this and start on time, but that's all good. That's all good. But Evan, how you doing?
Hey, what's up, Key? What's up, Key? What's up, everybody? Hey, Key, great to have you. Well, how am I doing? I'll tell you, I am just 2 shades short of killing some refs. I want to take them out. You know how they say the good old fight broke out at the hockey game?
Yes.
I like to. I am getting so sick and tired of no accountability for these refs. At least mention to us. I want to get them out in front of the media. Let them be asked the hard questions, not just take a game away from them, take a paycheck away, because players have to be accountable. I think they should too. I don't know. I'm sick of this stuff. That's my rant to start today.
Accountable reffing. So Gary Bettman, make it happen. So welcome to season 4, episode 15, right, Evan?
We betcha. We betcha.
We are living it up. So we've got a lot of hockey talk today. We're going to get through some really crazy stuff going around the league, not just in NHL. Evan's going to break down some stuff for you happening outside. Hockey Canada, we're going to chat a little bit about. But before we begin, remember to like, share, subscribe, follow. Give us a watch on YouTube. Give us a follow. We are here every Wednesday at 7 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. So wherever you're tuning in, we appreciate it. You guys are the best. You are the number one fans, and you are the number one fans of the best sport, the greatest sport ever. And we love it. So
big hat, a big hat. Also, big hats off to Sports Empire Network and partnering with us. If you're following over there, all your other sports needs, guys. If you're following us, just hockey, and you love other sports, check out the Sports Empire Network. I'm ready, man.
I was just getting there, but okay, I'll cheers to that. Cheers to Sports Empire, to Freddie, to that team over there, to Key, everybody. Woo!
There we go.
So it's a quiet night in the NHL, so we all know you're not watching the games because you're watching us. So Evan, take us away. What are we discussing today?
Oh, okay. Where do we start? You know what? Why don't we just jump right into some NHL news? This past week, we have not shared a lot of information when it comes to superstar players in the Edmonton region, meaning Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl. But we need to give some time today to do that. Now, we disservice ourselves sometimes because we are from the Edmonton region, but we cover all things hockey. And sometimes because we are Oiler fans, I'm always being careful about oversharing. But the entire world of anyone who watches hockey is following Connor McDavid right now. He is having another career season. You guys hear that? He's on a 10-game point streak. He has 10 goals, 24 points. That's 2.4 points per game. This has not been seen since the Mario Lemieux and Wayne Gretzky days of hockey. This is phenomenal, buddy.
It's been impressive. The guy is on another gear, and he's just coming into his prime. So you can imagine that he has got another gear. It seems like nothing can stop this guy. Leon Draisaitl challenged him to shoot more often this year, to score more, because he doesn't do it enough. He's a passer first. Yeah. And lo and behold, he's leading the NHL in scoring, and it looks like he may run away with the Rocket Richard. Now, for you Dallas fans, I know Jason Robertson's catching up, and there's a few others in there, but I'm just saying, he's making a case for the most goals. And OV fans, I know we'll talk about it, but go ahead.
Okay, so let's go back, though, to McDavid right now. He is on a 71-goal pace. 71-goal pace. Okay, the last time a player has hit a 70-goal plateau was in the 92-93 season when rookie Timo Solani, who is a Hall of Fame legend, scored 76 goals for the Jets, and 23-year-old McGillney scored 76 goals with the Buffalo Sabres. So that's the last time we heard of anyone hitting the 70-goal mark. Other than that, it's Mario Lemieux and Wayne Gretzky. And I am telling you, the difference between him and Robertson is phenomenal. He deserves to be up there. But the difference is what's been proven in the past when it comes to dropping. Right now, he continues to get another layer and another layer better. And the growth curve that we see for Connor McDavid tells us this is a possibility, just not a pipe dream 1/3 into the season. That's the difference.
Yeah, I agree. He really knows how to elevate his game. The best thing about Connor McDavid is his hockey IQ. His speed is an elite thing out of everyone else, and he skates like no others. You see him in mag skates, he's out skating everybody. He's almost one of the fastest players. I know, Dylan Larkin has made a push for that as well as, Matt Barzell and a few others. But Connor McDavid, like the way he controls the puck entering the zone with control and with insight and being able to not only know where everyone is on the ice, which remember, there's quite a few people on the ice, but the play that is going to happen, who's coming in, who's going to pressure, where he's going to go. Is he going behind the net? Is he passing around the boards? Is he going to the front of the net, which he rarely does, but sometimes he'll outskate his opponents. And he knows how to cut through the D, right? Yeah, exactly. He says McDavid is on a roll. And I agree. He is a reason you need to sell the sport on. Yeah. If you don't sell and promote Connor McDavid, then you're not getting anywhere. So we were happy to announce that, you do got to watch somebody else. And we encourage you.
Hey, we'll talk about we'll talk a little bit about the Flyers a little bit later on, but good point, Key. And by the way, hey Hans, how you doing, man?
Hey Hansi. We'll talk about Toronto in a bit here because Marner's on a tear on his own, right? On a point streak of his own.
Okay.
But so the Edmonton Oilers are now going to be part of the Heritage Classic with the Battle of Alberta versus the Calgary Flames next year. Now it's going to be a bit earlier in October. Now, for those of you who don't remember, and I'm pretty old, not as old as Evan. Evan's a young buck here, don't let the baldness fool you. That's a fresh baby right there. But I remember when I was there in 2003 at the Heritage Classic, the first ever at Commonwealth Stadium, and it was super duper cold, like -20, dry cold, if not more. It was the goalies had toques on their masks. That's how insane it was, right? I believe it was Cam Talbot for Edmonton at the time. And
I think it was Jose Theodore played for the Montreal Canadiens.
Jose Theodore played for Montreal. So the vets played before, the alumni, and then the actual game coming. I believe Montreal won 4-2 that game. But anyways, I was there, and it was shivering cold. It was freezing. But they're bringing it back. It's going to be in October, so hopefully in Edmonton it may be a little bit warmer. We'll see. Global warming, give us a little boost here just for that one day. But it's going to be an exciting way of showcasing. Yeah, Hansi, he's talking about Marner, 23-point game streak. He's beaten every record that Toronto has ever had for a point streak on a team. The longest, it's Wayne Gretzky, 51. So do you think he can make it? Hansi, you tell us right below.
Yeah. Okay. Hey, I got a question. He's asking if they'll sell beers at the Heritage Classic. Is it because Commonwealth doesn't sell beer, or what's up with that question? I think I'm lost.
Or I'm wondering if he's talking about the World Cup because it's in Qatar and they stopped serving beers last minute, like they closed sales.
Oh, okay.
Or will the beers be so cold they'll be frozen? It'll be like popsicle beers.
Well, hey, October time, so they're going to be only 8-9 games into the season at that point. But what I love about the Heritage Classic coming in is, first of all, so anyone who's a hockey fan, if you're not familiar, the very first NHL scheduled outdoor game was, well, that is like sanctioned. Hey, Joe! Oh my God. I just feel like I was Santa Claus coming in with allergies in the winter coming down the chimney. Okay.
Well, you're getting ready for the festive season, but okay, go ahead.
Okay, so one of the things that I was thinking about is, like, will it be a team, not Montreal? I get the classic of the very first, but that Heritage game was the very first outdoor in the new modern era of NHL. And them playing the Calgary Flames is going to make this a rootin' tootin' ding dong dandy of a game. You got to watch to start the year, because I am telling you right now, if you are not in Alberta, you better buy your tickets the moment they get on sale. You could scalp those babies, even though I don't condone that. You'll be able to scalp them last minute to Calgarians and Edmontonians and fans of those two teams, because they're going to fill up 3/4 of that stadium. It will be a sellout.
So what does Red Deer do? If for those of you that don't know, Red Deer is in between both cities. So what does Red Deer do?
Well, we know Red Deer is 60% Oiler fan, 40% Flame fan. So they'll split.
Those are some pretty specific statistics. I'm sure Mike Swift would appreciate those.
Hey, what's up, Kyle, man? Your Bruins are looking good. They're still killing it, baby.
So, Kyle, tell us in the comments, because I want to get to this a little bit later, just as a thought. What is David Pastrnak worth, and is he staying with the Boston Bruins after this or next year? Or no, he's up this year.
Yeah.
Yes, Hansi. Would have been really cool to have the outdoor game at Lake Louise. Not enough room for fans. Yeah, it's a little tough to sell it, you know.
Yeah, I was thinking about that too, actually, with Lake Louise, because they did the one in Colorado, but that was during the pandemic, and so when it made sense though, because they couldn't have a lot of fans because of the social distancing and stuff like that. So I got that, but man, if they could even put in, 15,000 temporary seats or something, I think that would be amazing. Maybe make it 2 Heritage games that year for Canada. One game that's further away or something along that same line. So I don't know. I just think that would work well. But anyway, that's just my opinion.
I also think I want to throw out a wild idea for the NHL, for the Gary Bettman, for the commissioner. You want to promote the game. You want to get it out there. It's exciting, the NHL. Why not have an AHL game beforehand with the affiliates of those teams play each other? How much fun would that be if we saw the affiliates for the Calgary Flames and the Edmonton Oilers play and face off maybe afterwards or beforehand, depending on how you want to do it.
Right. So if Edmonton and Calgary are playing, then we have
Bakersfield and
Bakersfield Condors versus the Calgary Wranglers?
Yes. Do it up. Why not?
Oh, okay. Tell us what you guys think. If you're an NHL fan, do you like their farm team, the AHL affiliate? I think that would be amazing. Yeah, Allison agrees. Lake Louise would be a stunning backdrop.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. There's strict rules.
I'm gonna say something.
But she makes a good point. She says in there, let me throw it up for everyone to be able to see. She made a good point. It's a national park, and there will be strict rules on the amount of. So yeah, you'd be looking at this as being strictly a lot. Okay, so man, we're going right off the cuff here tonight. If you can't have all the extra fans and they're limited fans, would this be a 1 game only where they could get advertising all over their jerseys like Europe? Just for 1 game.
Ooh, bold. We're just making bold predictions for Christmas. Everything we want on our Christmas wish list.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, Michael, how you doing, man? Thank you.
How you doing, Michael? Great to see you. What team are you following, Michael? Or teams? I don't know.
Yeah. Did you say what teams is he following?
What team or teams? Where are you at tonight, man?
Hey, just grab another drink.
Listen to this guy. He's all off
okay.
The rocker.
I think that looking at our time, we haven't even moved to the next part. Can I mention right now? Let's move over to Ottawa right now.
Okay.
Over in Ottawa, restricted free agent Alex Formention has signed with Switzerland. He signed with the Swiss hockey team so that was just today. Now he went on signed through the December 1st deadline because he's a restricted free agent. He's ineligible to play in the NHL now this season. Previously, last year, he had 32 points in almost 80 games, I believe. Now he's a 47th overall in the 2017 draft. But now, what do you guys think about this? Do you think that this was a good move or a bad move? He obviously wanted the money, but he didn't produce what the Senators were asking for. But we also know he was also a part of the 2018 World Juniors, and I hate to speculate. Thoughts?
So I'm pretty sure that that's one of the reasons why they didn't want to touch this. I think we had a conversation with Kevin Francis off the air once, and just he kind of alluded to that they're waiting. The organization is just very cautious about this. They're waiting for direction from the investigation, whether it's from the London police or London, Ontario, or from the government, whoever is overseeing this whole investigation with Hockey Canada and the sexual assault case. And so I think the Senators are doing a good PR move here because, as we saw with Boston and Mitchell Miller and a few other situations, but that's the most recent, you want to be very cautious about the backlash and the PR, because that can really tarnish your image and reputation, especially if you're doing well. So, I understand, but the kid at the same time, regardless of where that investigation goes, needs to play to keep skating. We talk about Shane Wright a few episodes ago, so make sure you check those out. And how you need to continue to develop by playing, whether it's men's, juniors, whatever it may be, in the minors, play. You got to build that skill. You got to be put in all different positions. And if you're not doing that, if you're just sitting around and working out, it's not the same. Edmonton could talk about Jan Campbell getting ready mentally. If you're not mentally ready for a game in the game, you're never going to be mentally ready. And you got to shake off those mistakes, those shivers, and get into it. Just my two thoughts.
Oh man, that's really interesting. That's going to be a tough one. What update us? So on our Facebook page, you gave a little bit of a mention. People want more information. Go to our Facebook page, follow us, Two Guys and Hockey Talk. Hey, while we're at it, guys, let me just throw a plug in. Join us if you're not already subscribed, follow or liking us on Facebook. We're also on Twitter and also on YouTube. So don't forget, a lot of you have the streams to YouTube. So if you subscribe, you can throw it right to your big screen TV. Afterwards, I always go on and I actually sit down on my 85-inch screen TV. I play back our show and I watch my beautiful co-host as he runs the show for me.
Well, I mean, I'm good for something, and it ain't my looks or my knowledge of hockey. So, it's the one thing I got. And I'm sure the only person that would agree would be my wife, or although she would have questions about that. But regardless.
Okay. Quick mention. So, Kyle, we hadn't planned to talk about the Bruins, but we're going to throw this out there because you're asking. Pasternak, numbers.
I asked him to send something.
Oh, did you? Okay, I wasn't listening to what you were talking about. I was busy posting. I was actually writing people. Okay,
so everyone, welcome to my world of Evan not listening to me. This is my life in a nutshell. I am like a ghost. I'm not even here.
Okay, so 8 years, 70 to 75 million. How old is Pasternak right now?
He's the same age as Draisaitl, because he got, or I think 20. Or a year older, 26 maybe.
So 8 years, 70. So we're talking, what's that, 9 million a year?
Kyle, that is an underpayment. That would be a steal for Pasternak. I think he's looking at more, but that's just me.
Right. It's Krejci who's the older guy, right? Yeah, that makes sense.
Krejci's 36 or 35 because he took a year off, and Bergeron is really old. Bergeron is 37, I believe.
Okay, that actually, I'm going to come in and I could see this happening though, because taking some discounts. Boston has done good with getting guys to come in on good deals. So I'm going to slightly change my numbers, Kyle. I'm going to go between 75 and 80. Even I think he'll come just under the 10 million in the 9 point something. That's my thought.
That's fair. I think he's coming in a little bit more.
Yeah, you think
he's going to look in the. He's going to look to the $10.5 to $11.5 million for what he does.
Wow. Well, if he does, yeah. Hey, Hans won't let up about his Toronto, eh? Okay,
well, let's talk about Toronto
this.
And how well. Okay, we'll talk about Ovechkin in just a sec, Hans. But first, let's talk about Marner and the Toronto Maple Leafs. We talked about it before, and I know Desmond also was a big fan. We got to get him back on the show. Would agree. Your goaltending has paid off. Now, granted, it's December, but you have had an unreal month and a half. You guys are on a roll. Even losing 3 of your top D, you have been going strong. Sandin and Liljegren have been incredible. I've watched some of those games, and I mean, they pummeled through Anaheim. Now, people say, well, Anaheim's one of the worst teams in the world. It doesn't matter who your competition is. You're still getting through them, and you're putting up points. And I believe the game was 6-0 or 7-0. So good on you, Toronto. Samsonov, another shutout. He is such a likable guy. I never thought I'd meet a guy more likable than Jack Campbell. Here we have Ilya Samsonov. So congratulations, Toronto fans. Enjoy it. And You guys were willing to fire Sheldon Keefe literally 2 weeks after the season when they lost to Arizona Coyotes. And here you are. Panic, down, don't plan the parade, just enjoy.
Can I just say before you go on about a little bit more on Ovechkin and Toronto there? So you were talking about how you're mentioning Jack because he's so nice. So when Jack Campbell has kind of crapped the bed in Edmonton because he's so nice, do you just forgive him?
Yeah, he's a goaltender. You don't get to that position. There's 32 positions in the NHL for goaltenders. Now you could say it's 64 because you're 1A, 1B, whatever. It doesn't matter. You don't get to that level without being good. And as bad as his record has been, he is a better goaltending. Is he Vasilevsky? No. Is he Carter Hart? No. But he's at least a 900 to 910 save percentage, which is, if you get that enough for the Oilers, you're getting into the playoffs. That's all you need. And that's all I'm saying. Go ahead.
No, that's all you're saying. That's it. Okay, go. Tell us about Ovechkin, man.
Well, so I've been yapping along the whole time. I feel like I finally broke the fourth wall barrier, and you can hear me. You tell us about Ovi scoring what goal and where he's close to it, and will he break it, and how?
You asking me?
Yes. How many goals did he score?
How many goals did he score? Win?
As of yesterday.
He got a hat trick.
Yes, but so he's now at what?
He's now at what, 800 and one goal?
No, just 800. He's one goal shy of.
I didn't watch the game. Okay, can I confession?
Oh my goodness. Okay,
confession.
So he is at 800 goals. He's
okay, let me speak. I need to confess to everybody. I absolutely hate Ovechkin. I'm going to be honest with you. I can't stand the player. But the player, he is one of the best in the history of the game. And he is exciting to watch on the ice, but he bothers me. I don't like his charisma. I don't like his attitude. I don't like a lot of things about him. So I just follow the stat boards, and then occasionally when he's following a team that I like more, I pay more attention. Or for this show, I know I need to. And so Pavel never told me we were talking about him. I thought, well, Pavel will do all the talking. I didn't think he'd ask me the question.
Fine.
So
okay.
So
I will talk then.
Okay, you educate us.
You have just alienated the whole Washington Capitol fan base because of your comments. We're gonna get canceled on Twitter for this, and that's okay. I've always wanted to be canceled. You know, Elon Musk. I'm giving you a shout out. Right?
Hey, can I just say before you do this, I tentatively have a Washington Capitals writer maybe coming on in the new year. So if you're following us right now, I won't use your name, but I do apologize. I need you on the show to educate all of us about the Washington Capitals. Okay,
well,
go ahead,
so
man.
you've probably cut ties right there with him coming on, but I would like for you to come on the show, and I'm sure that as an avid Ovi fan, who I love. I've loved since the first game I saw him play. You know, I enjoy watching his style, and the fact that no one has stopped him in that corner on the power play is abysmal to me, because that's where he's got at least half of his goals. Now, he has the most road goals ever, more than Gretzky. So very important. He is one goal away from tying Gordie Howe's record. Now, as we talked about last week, when we had our historian on the show, Liam McGuire, he talked about how Gordie should have more goals because of the WHA. Fair enough. That is true. But currently, under the current standards, what they were marking, he's got 800 goals. He scored a hat trick. They beat Chicago. Wonderful game. I watched it. It was amazing. Ovi is the grade 8. It took him 162 games to get from 700 goals to 800 goals. He is now 94 goals short of tying Gretzky's record, which I believe he'll beat. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. He's got 4 more seasons after this. The man is unstoppable. He's 36 years old, and it doesn't look like he's stopping. He's got another 20-point season. People can complain about him scoring empty netters. A goal is a goal. It doesn't matter. You're still getting there. You're on the ice. You're producing, right? People can complain, oh, it's an empty net. Let's see you get at least one empty net goal. I have 0 goals in the NHL. This is why I admire what Ovechkin has done. He's got a cup. He's a first ballot Hall of Famer. The guy is exciting to watch. He's big. He's rarely been injured. I think the amount of games that he's been injured in his history has been like 36 or 32.
Yeah.
Like it's very little. The guy knows how to keep himself at the best condition. Like the Phil Kessel. You don't see these kind of players anymore.
Yeah,
it's very rare.
True.
And what he has done for the game, not only in Washington, like he has really made a name for that organization. They cannot do enough to celebrate what he's done. But for the game of hockey and what he has brought to Russian hockey, because if you think of some of the greatest goal scorers in Russian hockey, he has now elevated all of them, right? And you can attest to this, right? So props to Ovi. I want to keep seeing it. The guy is unstoppable. And I believe recently the GM of the Washington Capitals talked about that they're not getting into a rebuild just for Ovi. I keep wanting to say Gretzky, just for Ovi to beat the record, right? That is a secondary thing. I know people think that's the primary thing. Washington still believes they can compete. Will they or won't they? They're outside of a playoff spot right now, but they've been playing some good hockey in December. They're still in the hunt, unlike some teams. So we're looking forward to it.
Well,
all right,
Liam, so no, and that's good, and I do appreciate everything you said. One thing I will mention is last week, so our number one NHL historian, Liam McGuire, if you didn't catch the show last week, go back, catch our show, episode 14 of season 4. He talked about, he thinks that they're done for the playoffs. You're not going to see him in another playoff for at least another 3-4 years. And that it's all about getting the record for Ovechkin, because that will put a spot, not just to show him as one of the greatest in history. I mean, he's already going to be there regardless if he retired and didn't get there. He will still be one of the greatest ever. It's just that to say the number one goal scorer in the history of the NHL, which we already thought could never be broken, it makes you think of, we got to talk about breaking records some show just to itself, because when you think records can't be broken, they start getting broken. Yeah. But it's going to be a tough haul for that team. They're one of the oldest teams. I believe they are the oldest team in the NHL, and they have a lot of rebuilding to do to get there. But you know what? I see them just putting as best a cast as they can together. So I'm going to say this, though, that I do believe it's going to take him 3.5 seasons to break that record, though.
That's true. But let's remember, injuries can plague a team, and that's not an excuse for them performing badly. But missing Tom Wilson and Backstrom is a big loss. And I don't know how Backstrom's going to be when he gets back, but those are two big losses. And I know Backstrom has the back injury, and that's one of those rare, difficult, one of those hardest injuries in hockey that you can face, that it's hard to get back into it. So, all right.
Totally. Okay, so we ready to talk some other stuff?
Yes, bring it up.
Let's talk about someone. The interesting thing I find, what time are we at? We're at 7:29. Okay, good. We got lots of time still. So one of the things is seeing someone at their lowest point. We saw that with people like Cassian and several others that have gone through a lot of issues, but going through their lowest point and coming out, and someone that he's been highlighted now through the media. The mainstream media is now reporting on stuff of how well, and that's Jim Montgomery. This guy was fired by the Dallas Stars for now what he does tell us, and comes out openly for a drinking problem. 3 years later, this guy is on the top of the NHL. He has now coached the Boston Bruins, talking about what Kyle was talking about earlier, right? To the best record in the league so far. I mean, it's looking right now that, I can't see a lot changing. I think the Bruins are a top 3, top 4 team minimum, even if they falter a bit this year. It wouldn't have been possible, though, if not for the lessons learned during the time he was away now. And that's what he's telling us. He's saying that he had gone through all that. And he's climbed the coaching ranks. He's done the things that he needs to do. Yep. And he goes, but when you're going through all the stuff that he was going through, and he very specifically said, listen, he goes, you're filled with guilt and you're filled with shame in your life, and you don't even care about your next job. That doesn't even matter. And he says it was at one of the worst moments of his life. And then he just started building himself back up again. And that's a very short time, too, at the same time. So I want to say thank you, Jim, for doing what you did. Keep on keeping on, brother. I am so excited. I'm excited for the Bruins to even have taken a chance on Montgomery when they lost Cass. And Cassidy's done good since he's left over to Vegas. But there's something about Boston, man. There's something in that culture. There's something in the water in a positive way that that team should have faltered years ago, and it continues to build and build.
Well, and I think that town is known for its sports, whether it's the Celtics in basketball, whether it's the New England Patriots. Like, there's a lot of teams there. You know,
True.
the Red Sox, they're a very competitive team. They expect the best of the best. And when something is just not going well, they demand perfection. They are a true hockey town, and they want their Bruins to be elite. Now, I will mention something, and I wanted to get your quick thoughts because I know it's been making the rounds on the internet a little bit. So Zdeno Chara, who decided not to come on our podcast, which is very disappointing, Mr. Zdeno Chara. I expected that a fellow Slavic man like yourself would want to join me and Evan on the show. But okay, so he went on the show, and he talked a little bit about the Vancouver Canucks and that Stanley Cup final in 2011. And as you remember, Evan, it was very controversial. There was a lot of intriguing storylines going through it. And he mentioned that apparently from what he heard and or what he saw, right, or what was interpreted was that there was some of the Vancouver Canucks players on that team at that time who were pretending to lift the cup while they were on the ice after being up 2-0 on the Bruins. So I wanted to get your quick initial thoughts because I know Kevin Bieksa responded to it. You know, he called it a little bit classless. It's kind of disrespectful. But why would Chara say something like that? And he's not backpedaled. He's kind of said like, well, interpretation. And I know English is the second language, if not third.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on that whole controversy and why he will go out now and say that? And especially of Zdeno Chara's stature, right? Because he's an elite athlete and people really respect him.
I think it actually happened, and I think he was just in an open, honest moment. And what he's sharing is actual, and people, I guess it's all about perceptions of how people see things. Some people see things differently, and some people were not there in that exact moment. Anyway, I take Zdeno at his word. I've never saw him like he will. When you try to backtrack, it's usually because you said something you probably shouldn't have made public. And when people retire, they do share stuff. So we find this on our show. We have people that come on our show and they share. I'm not going to use any names of people who have so that I don't get them in trouble because they are willing to come on our show. But they'll come on our show, and if you listen to some of our episodes with our guests, you get them in the heat of the moment and in a good way, in a fun mood, in a relaxing way, or give them a few drinks, and they start sharing stuff that normally they wouldn't share. And I think, even going back to Puljujarvi, which I want to talk about in a little bit here, he came out there and talked about how awful he was, and he doesn't even know if he can play the NHL game. And, it's like, and he was hard on himself. I think people don't recognize these players are harder, and everyone's like, oh, he's self-entitled. He wants to be in the top 6. He sees himself as a top 6, but they're trying to bring reality home that you're not that right now if you can't be consistent. Right. Yep. And so I think just like he came out, that's how Zdeno did. And Boston had its issues back then. They had some really cocky players and they did some stupid stuff. There was a lot of other things, and maybe Kyle's heard about some stuff, or if Mike Smith's listening, you guys have probably heard of some stuff. Let us know. What are things that you heard back then? Now we don't know if they're real or not, but anyway,
I agree. And I'm just going to say one last thing on the topic. We each have our own perception of the world, right? There was a great movie I'm going to just talk about quickly called The Last Duel. Adam Driver, Matt Damon, I think Ben Affleck was in it, a few other actors. And what it talked about was the point of view in this medieval times of different people in the same event and how they perceived that event happening. Now, the movie's a little dark. I don't want to get into it too much, but go watch it for yourself. But it showed how an allegation that was made went from all three perspectives. And that is sometimes that we forget. Like, people make assumptions or can make assumptions about what's being said, but that person has that view because of their perspective of what they saw. And they can't always articulate it. So Jesse Puljujarvi is a prime example. This article came out in Finnish, and people are going to harp on Jesse. But it's not a true translation. You can't thoroughly translate language. There's so many subtleties within it. There's so much paralanguage that goes into it. So it's intriguing how to go. I've taken too much time. But be mindful, but we all have our perspective.
And that's true. And one of the parts, let's talk about Puljujarvi for a sec, since we are, and I did want to chat a little bit about it. So when I heard that, this was my thought. In Finnish, if I could really translate really well, what if he was, so we think he said, hey, I'm not very good. I don't even know if I should play in the NHL. I'm not good enough. I've been given chances with these guys. And what if he didn't actually say that? What if he was talking to them and he says, well, they have an expectation. If I'm going to play in the top 6, I have to produce. I'm not producing. And right now, I'm not good enough that I should be to be the NHL player I want to be. What if that's what he said? And like you said, the translation, something. I feel like this is the game of telephone tag that we play in games in groups. You tell this person, and by the end, and you said, hey, Susan has a pimple on her nose. It comes out and says that Jack just took a shit. I mean, it's just like,
that's a big leap, but okay. That's a big
leap. But
I was going to say something where we say Evan knows nothing about hockey and Evan actually knows something about hockey, right? But that's how it starts, right? Like, this is how the transition goes. But that's fine. So I believe Yessi just needs a fresh start. Sometimes people don't understand that the pressures of a city doesn't always work and that they need a fresh start. And I think for the organization and for Yessi, it's time for a fresh start. Whether that happens by the trade deadline or next offseason, who knows? I'm sure Kel Holland's going to want something in return, even if he gets a pick, because he doesn't want to lose him for nothing, right? So that's exactly all it is. And I think people need to stop being so hard on it, because that's one of the reasons people don't always necessarily, he can go play a different sport, Hansi. What would Yessi play? He's tall. Basketball? Could you see him in the NBA? But essentially what it comes down to is that it people need to change the scenery. Some players go somewhere else and then they succeed. And I know that fan base gets upset, but it's like that's what happens, right? I mean, Nazem Kadri, great player for Toronto, as Hans could attest to, won a Stanley Cup in Colorado because he played his role, right? He grew up as well. So anyway. Well,
if you think about Edmonton players, so this has been a tradition. Kurt Malpe, Chris Draper. You go back to I'm trying to remember some of the other names. Todd Marchand, even after he left Edmonton, spent some time in some other organizations. Andrew Cogliano, he found another way to play his game. Helping, even he was an integral part, even though he was a depth player last year for Colorado and winning the cup. And so what I think people got to recognize is that sometimes the change, and I think we got to quit trying so hard to figure out. In the end, a lot of people will tell you he shouldn't have been selected that high. If the Finnish whiz decided in Columbus not to take him, maybe there was a reason, right? And so, and it does. Now I go back. I'm going to say this because I think this last year with Slafkovsky, I think they made the biggest mistake in not selecting someone else. And I'm not even saying it had to be right. I just think that he is not going to be a top 3 player, which a number 1 overall usually should be. Now, I want you guys to watch. So when I'm looking at rankings and where players, how do you rank someone first overall unless it is a terrible draft when their growth curve cannot even produce a point per game? You go look at all his points per game from his early seasons right down to 12 years of age. Slafkovsky has always been being the biggest guy on that ice. He should have been overproducing. And then as he gets to higher leagues, he still should be producing. Having one great tournament is a bad way to look at it. Puljujarvi had one great World Juniors with guess who? Patrick Laine, the goal scorer. And so it was way overlooked. I can't tell you how many people thought that when he was selected by Edmonton, that they were all over Matthew Tkachuk. And I don't care whether you like or hate that guy. Matthew Tkachuk was a power forward that same season in London. They win the Memorial Cup in Red Deer, Alberta. I mean, and he's playing hurt. I think sometimes teams outthink themselves. They say that we're not going to pick players based on need. We're going to take the best player overall. And there's no way that he was the best player overall. So anyway, let's come to some of the stuff. I'm not done talking about.
He asked the question. He was asking about his play before he became the Bison King, right? Because that's something good. So
Okay, go ahead.
So he played 28 games in the NHL, and he had 1 goal, 7 assists. Rookie season before playing in Carpat. In Carpat in 2015, 2016, he played 50 games, 13 goals, 15 assists, 28 points. Not bad. 22 penalty minutes. So then he got dropped to Bakersfield, where he had 39 games, 12 goals, 16 assists for 28 points. Not bad. And then the second season, 10 games, 1 goal, 4 assists. Not bad. So then he comes back to Edmonton after Ken Holland takes over, changes management. There was that whole drama, will he, won't he stay? And he plays 65 games with 12 goals, 8 assists for 20 points. Not bad. You expect a bit more. The following season, it's the shortened season. We got 46 games, 4 goals, 5 assists, 9 points. Not very good. Then he goes back to the Bakersfield Condors for a stunt, all that. Now he comes back in 2021 because there's still more, but in 2021, so during the pandemic season, he plays 55 games, 15 goals, 10 assists, 25 points. What do you expect from your bottom 6 guy? But he's playing top minutes. He's doing all the right things. His numbers are really good overall. Defensively, he's not very liable. He's very sound. So it's good. And the following season, 65 games, 14 goals, 22 assists. So a little bit better in assists. He's playing more of a playmaker role. Great gun. It's only this year that he's played 30 games, 1 goal, 5 assists. So he's not going to be a big producer. He is a big body, afraid to use it. But I think he's a bottom pair guy, and he just needs to know how to contribute in that way.
Exactly.
And I think the problem is that he hasn't contributed on the penalty kill. He played a little bit on the power play, so he's got some goals there. But there's no other assets there besides being a bottom 6 guy. And I think if he learns that he is that, he will be successful in the NHL.
Yeah, and let's face it, the only reason, if people don't fully understand why he's making $3 million, it had to do with where he was selected in the draft, and they had to pay him as an RFA. And then when they went to renew his contract, because they went to what do they call it? Why am I lost for a minute? Arbitration. When they went to arbitration, basically the number was just a little bit higher, and they settled for just a little bit less on it. But it's what he's owed. It had nothing to do with him saying, I have to be paid $3 million. Yeah, and besides, guys, none of you are going to go, I'm not very good at my job. You should take $5 an hour off my wage, right? Because I'm not worth that. None of you are going to do that. So don't say that about a hockey player. Yeah, I get it if they're going to leave and want way, way more money, and they could have won a cup somewhere, and you felt that the city was faithful. But having said that, I think the biggest thing right now is him adjusting and recognizing he's not a top 6. He'll get opportunities, and as long as he stays consistent, he'll be up there. When he's not, he's a third-line guy. And a third-line guy, if he signed, let's say Edmonton kept him for the year, and he signed at, say, 1.6 for a 1-year, play it by year, would you be okay with that? I would. For a third-line player. And maybe sometimes he can fill in when there's injury, so I think we got to look at it a little bit different. But having said that, I do think this is it for Jesse. This the other night, he's played his last couple games. He's played well, but it's the money. And the money right now, Edmonton doesn't have time to play around with that. And so there's been rumors that have gone out. Some people have said that they're going to have to send a high pick back, like a second or a third round, to someone to take that money, and then it frees up and they can then get. I don't think that's going to happen. Other people have come out and said, it's mixed between the experts and the insiders, that Jesse is just going to need to go to the right team, and it's just going to be the right NHL kind of deal when it comes to, because like teams like Anaheim, I know the Hurricanes, Pacioretty's coming back off. I don't see the Hurricanes as a fit. I know the Jets have been talked about. They are pretty good at working with people. So in Anaheim, but I always keep looking at some teams like, what about Buffalo? Is there someone that they could make a trade with Buffalo, and Buffalo could work him in there somewhere? What about Arizona? Can there be something with Arizona, or even Chicago? Chicago's going to be looking to make some deals. So I think by the trade deadline, Jesse will be gone unless he goes on a heater, essentially.
Fair enough. Hopefully that answers your question, Hans. All right. Where do you want to take us? I got one more thing all around, but it's going to take a moment. But you go ahead.
Okay.
Whatever you want to talk about.
So, hey, I just want to do. So there's two things I want to talk about before we wrap. I want to talk about hockey, the World Juniors coming up, but I could always wait till next week. So let's put the World Juniors on to next week. And then I'm just going to do an update on the AHL right now for you guys out there. That's called the American Hockey League, the farm system affiliates for all your NHL teams. So, hey, just three different things I want you guys to just be aware of. Whether you like the Calgary Flames, if you're a Calgary Flames fan, you should be pretty excited right now. Matthew Phillips just got called up. By the way, how great is that? You call them up from your farm team, and they're sitting in the same city.
Yeah.
Do you know how many teams are doing that now? Edmonton's the only Canadian team that doesn't have them locally close.
They've talked about it,
They have, but they're really enjoying because there's a lot of teams close in the South, and it's quite easy to get AHL players as one of their things. AHL vets don't mind being down in that area in the Southwest there. So, but anyway, 30 points Matthew Phillips has pulled together in 28 AHL games, and he finally got the call up to go back up to Calgary. So, hey, if you're a Flames fan, you're wishing Phillips all the best. This guy has some great potential. Also, suspensions. We see them all over in the NHL. Adam Gaudette, which some of you have been familiar with, he has been suspended for 3 games because of an interference incident in a game versus Belleville. And this was about last week. We didn't get a chance to talk about this with Liam on. So interesting, Judge, just so you know, they're happening across board. A lot of the rules, they test them actually first in the American Hockey League to see how it works, and then they bring them up. So it is a farming system that they can sample things. And if you're with the Hartford Wolfpack, so very interesting. Now, of course, our good friend Alex Thomas, who's no longer allowed to come on to our show because of Chris Jury of the Rangers won't let him. No, we understand. NHL is very particular, and they are careful where they send people. But formerly, he's been on a couple different times. He is now the play-by-play voice, and he does all the media content, everything for the Hartford Wolfpack of the AHL. That's the farm team for the New York Rangers. But anyway, so I'm sure he's been sharing a lot of this information. But anyway, one of the guys on the team, his name is Matt Rempe. He is 6 feet 8 inches. So he's 6'8". He's 240-pound forward. And right now, this guy is wrecking havoc on the forecheck. He is making a name for himself on a nightly basis. So I encourage you to go listen to the Hartford Wolfpack. Go click on. You can follow Alex Thomas at Alex Thomas. I think that's what it is. You can check it out. Go on your Twitter feeds and for the Hartford Wolfpack, or just follow the Hartford Wolfpack, and you'll get stuff. But you got to listen to the game calling when he's on the ice, man. He is taking people out left and right. How do you get by a 6'8" guy? This is like putting Zdeno Chara out there, and Zdeno Chara, who is big, mean, and aggressive.
Yeah.
So, anyway,
very true.
There's your AHL news for the day.
Thank you. No, there's been some suspensions. I know Jamie Alexiak got a few for his hit, kind of an elbow hit. That wasn't very pretty. No fan is ever going to agree that it's the right amount. It's too much or too little. As always, that's pretty common. But the NHL is doing their best to minimize that and keep it out of the game. So I applaud that. At least there's an attempt, right? It's hard. Every situation is very different. As an aside, before I get to my final topic, Evan, I know a lot of people are still watching the World Cup. Who do you got? Argentina or France? Quick. On the cup.
France, but
back to back. Very nice. Back to back.
Well, there's something about their team defense, I think, that could actually stop Messi. But right now, man, Messi's on a mission.
Well, Alvarez is pretty good too. But anyways, that was just the thing. I got Argentina, so it'll be a friendly bet to see next week. We'll have to do something off. Anyways, so it's almost Christmas time, right? And what is Christmas around? Things that people want, things that people desire. So I'm going to focus on 7 teams of things that they want this Christmas for the new year to happen in the season. And we're going to go through all 7 Canadian teams. And then I've got one more thing after that. So We're going to start with Toronto. Toronto, what do they want most this year from Christmas from Mr. Santa?
The Toronto Maple Leafs want a defense that's healthy for the rest of the season.
Good. I'm going to say a round out of or getting out of the first round and pushing through whoever it may be. So yes, that's what it is. Ottawa Senators, what do they want?
They want an owner that actually will take care of their players.
Brilliant, brilliant. I think they want their back end to stabilize and actually be healthy, like the Toronto Maple Leafs you were saying, but good.
Okay.
The Montreal
fair.
Canadiens, what do they want?
They want Connor Bedard.
Don't know if it's going to happen because they're playing very well, but that would be an elite company to play on that team, and I'm sure they're going to get a good draft pick. I agree. I think what they want is Carey Price healthy and maybe coming back for one more season. Yeah.
Oh, that's a good one. I like that one.
There we go.
Okay.
The Winnipeg Jets, what do they want, Evan?
The Winnipeg Jets want to keep the streak alive and stay in the top of their division.
That's very true. That's very true. I think they want people to buy into that thing, and I think they want somebody to pick up Blake Wheeler so that they get a trade and get some valuable assets for him.
I thought you said they want boners.
Nerdlers, what do they want?
They want Jack Campbell to stop pucks.
Very good. I'm going to say I think Jack Campbell that, but I would also say they want a defensive defenseman that they can stabilize their back end so they're not being scored against so much. But okay. And what do the Vancouver Canucks want, Evan?
The Vancouver Canucks want a first overall pick in Connor Bedard for Bo Horvat.
I agree. And I think they want that 100%. I would agree with that. So well done. You guys can let us know your comments. What does each team want? I'd love to do this. Maybe we can do next week some American teams because there's quite a few. But that was really fun. Thank you for taking it off the fly. Now, I want to end the show because you talked a little bit about it, about Patrick Laine. What is going on with Columbus Blue Jackets, and how do you fix it in 2 minutes or less, I guess?
Yeah, I think the way they're going to fix it is they need to have a centerman. And you ready? I got their centerman. It's going to take a first overall draft pick. It's going to take a second, and it's going to take another player to go back. And it's going to be a sign and trade. Hey, no. He's not what they needed. You ready? They want Bo Horvat. They want Bo Horvat to take on with Laine and Goudreau if they can get him signed in. But they will. I cannot see them taking a chance. Too many players have come and left them. It would be a sign and trade would have to actually happen. But I could see them not worrying about this season as much. But would Bo go to a team that's rebuilding? Would he actually do that? That's where I'm a little bit more concerned because I think also, and I know Key was on earlier, Key Williams was talking about this, her Philadelphia Flyers are sinking. They need a center. And could Bo Horvat be that for them? So that's another question that you have to ask. So I definitely see the Flyers and the Blue Jackets as front runners as far as wanting.
They're both up against the cap, Evan, so they're going to have to make room for that.
But I think we both have seen them find ways to forget about Edmonton and Calgary, who don't seem to know how to clear cap or do anything. Let's face it, history's proven itself. Everybody else can wheel and deal and do stuff except for the Alberta teams. They keep saying, well, we got a cap. Yeah, well, Philadelphia had a cap. Did you see them change it? Toronto's had a cap in the past and they dealt with it. A lot of teams have had a cap. Ottawa's had to deal with those caps back in the days with when Erik Karlsson was. There's ways to get around it and still become a good team. And so, I don't buy into this cap world. Get creative. Get ready. Remember, I say anything outside of your first round draft picks are a farce. You're not going to get a whole lot of return. So trade some of those second and thirds if it's going to actually make things happen. Take a chance. Trade a player that is good. You don't give away garbage and get someone's good player. I'm so sick of people on little things. They're on Twitter. They're on Facebook. They're all over. They're texting you. And they're just like, well, why don't we get – and they're looking for a superstar. And they want a top-end guy. And they want to give away nobody. It's just like, get off your phones. Get out of your mama's basement. And go out and live in the real world. And that's my piece for the day.
You think those GMs haven't thought of them? If they're like, oh, we'll give you Jesse Puljujärvi for somebody else. Yeah, just become a GM.
Oh, man. Hey, Bryce, how you doing tonight, man?
At least let me be assisted so my name's not out there, so I'm not publicly recognized by the fan base, so people don't attack me as much as the hardcore fans. So I agree. All the best, Hansi. Take it easy. We hope to see you soon. And remember that, Columbus, they've been plagued with injuries. It's not an excuse. And we want to get somebody from Columbus on the show because we want to talk about you guys, because I think the cannon is one of the coolest ways of showing that a goal is scored. And I can't wait to go down to Columbus, to Ohio to check out a game. It's in the works. We're working on a few things here. But.
Now, Zach, who is a writer for Columbus, Kevin Francis set us up from Hockey Buzz. He's actually said he would come on our show. It's going to be a little while. We're working through some different stuff. He said right now is not the right timing for him, but in the new year, we hope to be able to have Zach on from the Columbus Blue Jackets. We have someone lined up for the Washington Capitals that we're hoping, as well as I've been working hard and feverishly for quite a while. And believe it or not, it's been really tough to find someone for the Pittsburgh Penguins. But we're hoping that we can get some of that done. So if you guys have connections out in the world, send them our way. Let us know. Send us an email. Make sure you can go on. You can follow us every Wednesday right here live at 7. Follow our repeat. Hey, subscribe on YouTube, man. Throw it on your big screen, and you can watch and look at all the pimples on my buddy's face here. And by the way, he is not the cat because he is Felix the Potvin cat reflexes. It's because he's always got cats all over his face.
Exactly. You know me so well. Now I'm going to throw out one wild suggestion, and maybe this is why I'm not a real insider, or maybe I am, and it's going to work out in my favor. Is Dylan Larkin, is he staying in Detroit given the money he's going to want? And is Steve Yzerman going to budge, or is Steve Yzerman going to bring in Bo Horvat in replacement of Dylan Larkin, who may potentially go to Columbus and or somewhere else? I'm not saying it's going to happen, but there's not enough chat about Dylan Larkin and what his next contract's going to be, because he's coming up too. So Detroit fans, let us know.
Okay, my last thought, I just want to give you a teaser into next week's show. We're going to take a little bit more time and talk around the World Juniors with all the teams, give you some highlights around that with the different countries. It's going to be a show. It's going to be a great one, but I just want to say this again so that we all can recognize here. One of the things that's interesting about this Connor Bedard that we've been talking about is Connor Bedard himself is now at a 1.83 points per game average in the WHL. Connor McDavid was at 1.72 in a scoring league, because the WHL is not a scoring league. It's more of a defensive type league. And then the other part is in 60 some less games, he's only 10 goals off of what Connor McDavid did. Connor Bedard has been amazing. And so we're going to be able to see the show. And Shane Wright has been released. We'll talk more about that by the Seattle Kraken to go play. We'll talk about the rumors in behind. Is Wright going to be back for the year? Is he going to be traded to an OHL team because he has not hit his limit to be able to play where he's ineligible to go back to juniors this year? So it's going to be some fun stuff. There you go. Zill says Larkin will stay.
Yeah, I can see him staying. I'm just saying that there's not enough talk around him. There's more about Bo Horvat and everything going on there. And I really think that Bo does want to stay in Vancouver. I just think that management is very confusing in terms of their moves. You sign Miller to that big contract at 30 years of age, but you don't want to sign your younger, more agile, two-way, better center captain. It's a very questionable call, right? So it's definitely interesting what Jim Rutherford is doing there, because he's had a history of success with the Pittsburgh Penguins.
So could I say this? We're going to talk World Juniors next week. Why don't we also, if you guys, anyone joined in, I know some of you have just came in late here on the show, go back, check out the podcast. Pavel did 7 things the Canadian, one thing each Canadian team, so 7 Canadian teams want for Christmas. So next week, let's hit some American teams. Maybe we'll take the East or the West or the South and go through there. So anyway, that's going to be again. Sorry, Zale, you're on too late. We know you think Elvin's the wrong GM for the Canucks, but we have no time to talk. Because once again, we are 2 guys in overtime, not 2 guys in hockey talk.
We're going to trademark that saying, because otherwise someone's going to take us over and become famous because of us. Another self-promotion without us benefiting from it.
Yeah, exactly. Again and again. All right, guys. Well, in the meantime and in between time,
keep your sticks on the ice. Stay safe.
Cheers.